Hey everyone, tonight we are going to do a double barrel comparison. Heaven's Door double barrel whiskey against Elijah Craig toasted barrel. What these have in common is they are both finished in a second new barrel, and I think I know this one's toasted and I believe this one as well. They're different. This is 100 proof, this is 94 proof. Heaven's Door is a blend, as I said in my last review, of three whiskeys, two bourbon-like, one straight rye, aged 6 years and then married together in a second barrel for another year. Elijah Craig has, I know the base small batch very well. I've had it before. It is aged, there's no age statement, but they say it's aged 9 years and then it is put in a second barrel, the second toasted barrel for several months. So we'll call it about the same amount of time. We're going to pour these up and we're going to see. I'm not even going to do this blind. I was going to, but I know the Heaven Hill profile very well. And also the other thing is that I know that just from visually, and I'll show you when I pour it up, one is definitely darker than the other, so it's not even fair to do that. But I just want to pick things out, even if it's not blind, see which one I like best. I've gone back and forth with both of them. I've opened them up. Heaven's Door I liked better when I started it, not as much after that, and now kind of a little more. And then the Elijah Craig, a little disappointed, but starting to like it more. So let's pour it up and see what we think. Okay, so this is the Heaven's Door. Let's give us a nose. I do pick up a kind of a floral note. Trying to see if I can pick up the rye. I'm expecting to taste a little more rye in this one because, again, there's three whiskeys. One is a straight rye right off the bat, and then the other two have rye in it, whereas the Elijah Craig is a low rye portion of the mash bill, which is typical of Heaven Hill. But let's give this a taste. Cheers. It's very good. Again, I'm starting to like this more. I do pick up the rye spice in here, but it's not overpowering, but it's definitely there. And I kind of like say there's some floral notes, and I do notes of the rye. So let me actually put this down and take a little water. Now we have the Elijah Craig. Let's give this a nose. I do pick up a little bit of that toasted scent, but a little bit of chocolate. They say it's supposed to be, they say the tasting notes say marshmallow. I do smell that, but let's give this a taste. Cheers. Okay, right off the bat, as I mentioned, I mentioned this in a previous video, there's a Heaven, I don't want to call it a Heaven Hill taste, but there is a certain taste I pick up in all the Heaven Hill products, or most of them. I would say that the McKenna is a little different. I had that one time I can find it at a reasonable price. That might have been a little different, but the Evan Williams, the Elijah Craig, there's a certain Heaven Hill profile. I do pick it up in this. Now I do know, and I did notice in the video I did before, the toasting does change the profile of this. It definitely changes it. But I still pick it up in this. So if I did this blind, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to pick up. And that's why I didn't do it blind, because there is a certain profile that just, there's no kind of reason to do that. But let me give us another taste. I am starting to like this more, although, you know, it's kind of like I've kind of gone back and forth with this. Now, I do want to show you something. Another reason why I didn't want to do it blind, to make sure this is right, because I do have them labeled in case I get it mixed up. And there goes the, this is what we have. This is what happens when you do a video. I'm not going to stop it because of that. This is the Elijah Craig. And this is the Heaven's Door. I think it's pretty obvious that the Heaven's Door, this one, is lighter than the Elijah Craig, this one. To me, at least, it is. I do see that. You might not see it on the camera. But I do notice that the, again, let's make sure, Heaven's Door, this one, lighter than this one. So I think the toasted barrel is maybe a little dark, maybe more charring going on than the Elijah Craig. To me, it's definitely noticeable. As far as which I like best at this point, I think they're different. The Heaven's Door I kind of liked when I first opened it up. And by the way, the Heaven's Door is the that's a celebrity bourbon. It's the Bob Dylan bourbon. The Elijah Craig, very well known. And that was my first kind of bourbon that I really came out and liked. And you know, I've probably had it less since. But the funny thing is, the Heaven's Door I liked initially. The Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel I did not. and I've kind of gone back and forth. I think they're very different. The price point's very different. I got the Heaven's Door for about half the price of the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. So if you're looking at price, I mean, the Heaven's Door is a lot less expensive in my area to get. But again, different stores may be different. So I kind of call it a draw because I think they're very different. I would like to try the Woodford Reserve Double Oak. I mentioned this in a previous video. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I have tried it before. I kind of wasn't thrilled with it. A lot of people love it, and I do want to give it another try. Similar to this, I think when you go back to stuff, sometimes you might find you like it. I find that very interesting about just the world of whiskey, whether it be with the same bottle or coming back to a bottle at a later time. You know, your taste change. I can find the same bottle. I might go through 5 different times where like it, don't like it, like it, and I just find it very interesting. I think it just depends on, you know, what you're in the mood for at that time, and I think you just taste change even within the same time period that you're enjoying one bottle. So that's my review. And and this is a side note. If you were on earlier, I did try to do my first live. I think it was a disaster because I had no clue what I was doing. I just figured I was going to do a live video, and I was going to make it just like Everything Makers because I love Maker's Mark. As a secondary backup, I was going to do Buffalo Trace. And you know what? I just said, you know what the heck? I'm just going to go on live. And I just tried out, work out the kinks. A couple of people were very helpful to help me out. I didn't even know how to shut it off. So I will do a live video, and actually will announce it, set in time, certain time, topic, all that stuff. But this was just off the cuff. But thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.